Hi, welcome to another IELTS video. Today we are going to run through another lexical resource quiz. I've tried my best to make this one difficult. Many of you shared comments saying that the previous quizzes were a little bit on the easy side, so hopefully this one will prove to be a greater challenge. We're looking at task 1 of a general exam, and this question was seen in Wollongong, Australia and in Melbourne, Australia this past month. If you find this video helpful, please visit my blog at IELTS.com. So if you're not familiar with how the questions work, I'll run through a very quick example. So basically you'll see a sample response, and in each sentence you will have a few different wordings to choose from, and you need to choose the correct wording. So for example, here we have territorial disputes, uprisings, tiffs have strained relations between China and Japan. Okay, and this is probably pretty easy for everyone. The answer would be disputes. So the word uprising wouldn't really fit, and the word tiff, which might be a new word for some people, is more of a small fight between maybe friends, not so much between two countries. So the correct answer would be dispute. So let's look at the question that appeared on the exam. So the question reads, you had a problem with your computer and brought it to an electronics repair shop to fix it. You were not happy with the service you received there. Write a letter to the shop's manager describing your experience. In your letter include what was wrong with the computer, why you are unhappy with the service, and what you expect the manager to do about this problem. Okay, so I hope the question is straightforward. So I'll start reading the response, and we'll pause and let you come up with the questions. And please comment and let me know whether this video is helpful, and please post how many questions you get correct. Dear Sir or Madam, I am writing this letter to you to highlight with you, or bring to your attention, or show you an unfortunate experience I had with your staff at Best Repairs this past Friday. Okay, the correct answer here would be bring to your attention. Now, I think everybody can see that highlight with you would be an awkward way to word it. Some people might have chosen show you an unfortunate experience, but this would also be a little bit awkward, as we're not really, recreating the experience. We're just sort of describing it. So show you would not be the best way to word this. Bring to your attention. So I'm writing this letter to you to bring to your attention an unfortunate experience I had with your staff at Best Repairs this past Friday. Okay, I'm sorry, this is awkward. Let me just stick in a page break. So, of course, this should be in the same paragraph. Allow elaboration, or allow me to elaborate, or allow for me some time to elaborate. Okay, now the answer cannot be elaboration because, what is going to do the elaborating, so that's not the answer there. For me, some time to elaborate. So a lot of times students make silly mistakes like this. If you have the word allow, you typically follow it with whatever is going to be allowed to do something. So for example, here the correct answer would be allow me to elaborate. We wouldn't say things like allow for me or allow for him, allow for her. You would just say allow him, allow her, allow me. So this would not be the right answer. Grammatically incorrect, and with the addition of some time, it also makes it sound very awkward. So the correct answer would be allow me to elaborate. Okay, now we finished our opening paragraph. We've described the reason why we're writing this letter. Now we're getting into the details, and we are going to we're going to fulfill what is required of us in the question. So, about a week ago, my computer started to commence problems accessing the internet. Okay, the best answer would be started having. Now, some students might have chosen the word commenced, and commence also means to start, but we typically don't combine it with a word like problem. Commence is a good word to use if you're talking about starting a project or if you're talking about starting a process. But when a problem starts, it's typically not. We don't describe that process using the word commence, so that would not be the right answer there. Those two. So started having problems accessing the internet. Another thing I'll just point out is that typically people capitalize the word internet. So something just to make a quick note of. After calling my internet service provider and confirming the issue was not their issue, or confirming the issue was unrelated, or confirming the issue was not related to them, I decided to bring my computer into your shop to have it investigated. Okay, so not their issue would not be the correct answer. For one thing, it repeats the word issue, which we just stated a few words before, so that would not be right. Unrelated would also not be the right answer. So here, this kind of leaves the reader wondering unrelated to what. I mean, I guess you could assume that they would draw the conclusion that you're bringing it to an internet service provider, so you are you're coming to the conclusion that the problem is not related to that, but it's a little bit vague. So the right answer here would be not related to them. I decided to bring my computer into your shop to have it investigated. I was told by, informed from, spoken to by one of, your employees that I would need to leave the computer with them overnight to give the service staff time to inspect it. Okay, here the correct answer would be told by. The other answers are all awkward and grammatically inaccurate. I was told by one of your employees that I would need to leave the computer with them overnight to give the service staff time to inspect it. I am sure you can imagine my surprise and unfortunate, utter, extremely disappointment when I returned the next day to find the screen cracked. So the answer is not unfortunate. Unfortunate disappointment No, that doesn't make sense. The answer is not extremely. So we could say extreme disappointment, but extremely would not be correct. So our answer here is utter. So utter, which means sort of complete or total. So I was completely disappointed. So my complete disappointment when I returned the next day to find the screen cracked. The employee on duty, comma, Dan, comma, tried to tell me that the screen was damaged when I dropped it off. But this is completely false. Or, Dan, the employee on duty, and tried to tell me that the screen was damaged when I dropped it off. But this is completely false. Or, the employee, comma, Dan, comma, on duty, tried to tell me that the screen was damaged when I dropped it off. But this is completely false. Okay, the best answer here is the first. So, the employee on duty, comma, Dan, comma, tried to tell me that the screen was damaged when I dropped it off, but this is completely false. And so some things I like to share with students when we go through these sorts of exercises is when you write your letter, it's helpful to include little details like this. So you might have noticed that I made up a name for the repair shop. I just called it Best Repairs, which I capitalized B and R so that the examiner knows that I'm trying to state that that's the name of the store, of the shop. And here I've included a name for somebody in the shop. So it just gives the story a bit more believability. It allows me to demonstrate that I know how to use commas properly. And doing these sorts of little things can really help to sort of show off your skills as a writer. So that doesn't mean you have to create this really elaborate, really complex story, but every now and then sharing a little detail in the letter can go a long way. And it really can make the letter more believable. So when the examiner reads it, they can see that were you to really have this situation in real life, your English skills would be strong enough to handle it effectively. Okay, to make matter worse, the internet is still not working. Reading from down here. To add insult to injury, the internet is still not working. To heighten my insult, the internet is still not working. Okay, so the first one is incorrect. This could work if we had written matters. So to make matters worse, that would be fine. But we didn't write that, so that's the incorrect answer. To heighten my insult is a phrase that I made up. Nobody says this. Although it is a good phrase, maybe that should catch on. But it's incorrect. The answer is to add insult to injury. Now, if this is a new phrase for you, please commit this to memory. It could be something that you could use in an exam sometime. So look at the way that I've structured it. I've written to add insult to injury, and then I followed it with a comma, and then I've stated what it is that's going on. Now the phrase to add insult to injury just means to make a situation worse. So for example, if I was talking about, I missed my plane ride, I missed my flight. So I might say I got all the way to the airport and I missed my flight. To add insult to injury, I forgot my wallet at the hotel. So all that means is that, to make the situation even worse, I had already missed my flight. To make the situation even worse, I forgot my wallet at the hotel. So maybe a helpful phrase for you to know. Okay, that concludes the second paragraph of our letter, which shared all those helpful little details that fulfilled what the Task 1 question was asking. Now let's get to the final paragraph, which is where we write what we expect to happen as a result of this letter. Now, because this is a letter of complaint, we're going to use some forceful language here, and we're going to try to get the manager to do what we think would be best to help this situation resolve itself. So, as manager of best repairs, comma, I'm expecting you to erect this situation immediately, or disable this situation immediately, or rectify this situation immediately. Okay, the answer is not erect. Erect means to build. So here we're not saying, we don't want them to kind of build the situation, we want them to fix it. The answer is not disable. This is a bad situation and we do want it to end, but the word disable is misleading. We don't want the situation to just go away or just stop. We want it to be fixed. So the right answer is rectify. Rectify is a word that means to kind of rebuild or to patch up, to fix something that is not the way that it should be. Rectify is a good word to use if you're talking about any sort of problem that needs to be addressed or that needs to be fixed. So maybe a good word to add to your lexical bank. I want you to install a new screen on my computer and fix the internet issue properly this time. Or, I demand you to install a new screen on my computer and fix the internet issue properly this time. Or, I request you to install a new screen on my computer and fix the internet issue properly this time. Okay, here the correct answer is want. We could say demand, but the problem is that we've put to after you. So if we were to use demand, we would have to take to away. So the answer would read, I demand you install. And the same is true for request. I request you install. These are not things that we would follow with to. We cannot say, I request you to install. That's a common mistake I see students make. Now, demand would work in this situation because we are angry and we want results. And we want to express to this manager that we are upset and we are expecting them to rectify the situation. So demand would be a good word to use. Request would not be, because request is slightly weak. And in this situation, we're in the right. This manager and his company have made a mistake, or her company have made a mistake, and request would not be really that fitting here. It would be just slightly too weak. So demand would work. But anyways, the way that the question was worded initially was with want, or sorry, with to install. So the correct answer should be want. I want you to install a new screen on my computer and fix the internet issue properly this time. I would also appreciate you having a word with your staff about the integrity of their work, habit of their work, professional of their work. Okay, the correct answer here would be integrity. And integrity just means the honesty, the moral nature, the ability of a person to do the right thing even when they're not being watched. So habit and professional are both awkward. They wouldn't fit in here. Okay, and finally, we sign off. And I'm signing off with expecting results. So you can tell by my tone that I am angry. I am wanting something to happen quickly. Something wrong has happened to me, and now I'm demanding that something happen promptly. So, and you can just tell that by the way that I'm signing off here. Now, I find that students sometimes they they don't take advantage of this section of the letter, because often this is a great way to demonstrate to your examiner, different pieces of vocabulary and how to use them in context. So had I signed off here best regards, as I see lots of students do on their examination, that's kind of just throwing away the opportunity to show my examiner my ability to word things in maybe a more fitting, a more impressive way. So by wording it here, expecting results, I'm showing the examiner that I recognize that this is a situation where the writer of the letter is upset, and by signing off this way, I'm further encouraging the reader of this letter to get to work quickly and promptly, and that's fitting because that's what the letter and the task demands. So when the examiner reads this, it's just another thing that's going to kind of convince them that I'm a master of the English language. So use your sign-off to your advantage. Okay, I hope that video was helpful. Very brief video today. Please share some feedback. Let me know how many questions you got correct. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.